do this.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill. What's going on today, Zap?
Howdy, man. How are you, fella?
I'm doing great. Today is November 10th, I had to check, and this is episode 53 of Run, Jump, Stomp. It's a podcast about video games. This week, Steam has linked to Samsung TVs.
BlizzCon Roundup.
PS4 gets an Elite version, and I spelled Elite wrong in the show notes.
Oh, dear. COD splits PC player base.
Pokemon Go, the next generation.
Arthur Vendi at it again.
Those stories and more on this episode of Run, Jump, Stomp. Stick around. All right, my goodness, what a week. Let's, did you have a good week, Zap?
Yeah, very good week. I hope you had a good week as well. It's getting cold here. What about yourself?
Oh, it is getting cold. Like right now, I can't figure out in my office, like my entire body will feel comfortable and my feet will be like ice. And so I'll increase the temperature like 1 degree and then I'm melting. But my feet are fine, and I can't get a good balance. It's terrible. But you know, I live in the middle of, or not in the middle of the country, but I live pretty far from any large bodies of water, and so that means it gets really, really cold here in the wintertime. Like we're talking 20 below.
Oh damn, that is cold. Yeah, we I think this morning got up for work. It was like -1. First morning I had to scrape the car, so it was like.
Well, just to be fair, I was talking Fahrenheit, so -20 would not be the same as it would be where you are.
I'm not doing math.
No, don't do math. Don't do math.
No.
But it's
Don't
different.
do that to me.
It's different. All right, so let's jump into our first story. The first story this week is that apparently Samsung TVs are going to be integrating Steam Link's PC streaming technology. So that means if you have a Samsung TV, you don't have to buy a Steam Link. You could just get a controller, and then you could stream your PC games onto your regular Samsung TV. I think that this is awesome. It's not going to be the thing that makes me pick one TV over another. Especially because the Steam Link is only $50, you know? But it sounds like a really cool feature, and being able to just hit a button and have my Steam library on a TV in my house without having to have an extra... Like, my one problem with my Steam Link is when I got it, I had to unhook things that were hooked up because I ran out of HDMI ports. And then I ended up having to go out and buy an HDMI switcher in order to have everything hooked up. If Steam Link was built into the TV, then that's really cool. Do you have a Steam Link? Is that?
No, I don't, but I have a Samsung TV.
Oh, well, I don't think that it's just going to upgrade. I think it's going to only be for new TVs. Let me see if it say anything about hardware.
No, but going back to the Steam Link itself, I've looked at Steam Link a couple of times actually, because I love playing my PC games on the big TV. I love playing games on the big TV, so I have obviously the PlayStation is connected to the big TV, and I have another HDMI that runs off, so it's connected to the computer. But there's nothing better than sitting down in front of a computer, in front of a big TV, I don't know, 50, 40 plus inches or whatever size takes your fancy. And playing your games, especially stuff like really good, you know, Skyrim and all that, playing them out there, it's really, really, really nice like that. I think it's a a really good thing.
Awesome. I don't think we have much else to say about that. I think it's cool, and hopefully other TV manufacturers follow suit and make it more common, so it's not the differentiator. You know what I mean? What's your first story?
My first story is a big one. It's BlizzCon Roundup. Let's do a BlizzCon Roundup, guys. BlizzCon happened last week, and well, everyone is expecting big things from this year's BlizzCon, and it was kind of quiet. Ish. No new games, which was kind of expected since we had Overwatch just recently come out. The World of Warcraft stuff I can't really comment on because I don't play that game. So you might have to fill in the World of Warcraft bits there, Run Jump. The Overwatch stuff, finally Sombra has been announced, revealed. We are all getting Sombra. Yay, finally.
I think Sombra looked really good. So let me pause you right there. What did you think of the intro video for Sombra?
Yeah, amazing. I thought they actually nailed that. I thought that was like 100 times better than their ARG or whatever it was, whatever it was called, when they had Sombra going around and people were like, Sombra's going to hack BlizzCon. And if they'd done that, I think BlizzCon would have gone nuts. The intro video, amazing. Really good. I'm looking forward to giving Sombra a try on the PTR. I finally downloaded the PTR. I'm going to give that a go.
So, for the PTR, do you have to download a separate client, or do you just flip a switch?
No, you have to download the game separately. It's basically, Ice just in chat, Ace has just told me. It's ARG, what I was, whatever that stands for. Blizzard took too long to announce Sombra, in my eyes. Just give us the information. I'm an impatient kind of fellow. But the PTR, you have to download. It's basically another version of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in, for people who don't know and are considering doing the PTR, in your Battle.net launcher, in there is the European, Asian, Americas selection, and above that is the PTR. So that's where you can switch to the PTR. Now on the PTR currently you have Sombra, and you have the new arcade mode, which was the next game. So are you looking forward?
Go ahead.
Before we move off Sombra, are you looking forward to Sombra?
Yeah, I think that she looks really cool. I like the idea of having a stealth character because they didn't have a stealth character in the game yet. And I really don't know much about her except for what I saw in the intro video, because this week has been bananas for me. I haven't had any time at all. So I looked at that. She is a stealth character, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
She has a stealth ability, yeah.
Right. I always think stealth characters are really, really fun in multiplayer games. So that she's got that going for her. I like that she can shut down enemy turrets and stuff, or take them over one way or the other. I think that looks really fun, and it makes me think back to, oh my God, what's the game? It was from Sony Online Entertainment. It was PlanetSide. It makes me think of the first PlanetSide. I played a hacker in that game, and I would I was on a team or in a clan, and I would ride in on my little four-wheeler, or I would fly in on my Mosquito, and I would land on top of a tower, and I would stealth up and sneak through the building, and then hack the building so that my team could come in and clean everything up afterwards. And I always thought that was a really, really fun way to play. So I'm really excited with Sombra. I think she looks like an absolute blast.
I'm wondering if you can hack Bastion. That's what I want to know, because Bastion's a robot.
Oh, that's true.
Is it possible? Can Bastion be hacked or something like that? That would be quite cool. Especially if Blizzard go, this is what you can do with this character, and really expand it like that, and so that she can mess with, like Bastion, being a robot, and Bastion could be a weakness to, Sombra can be, that strength over, a counter to Bastion. Not that you really need too much of a counter to Bastion.
Right.
And then you've got the arcade mode, and this is a very interesting one. I know Esco Princess in chat says arcade mode is great, but it doesn't record any of your stats, and there is no way of seeing what characters you play and how often you won, etc. Arcade mode, I don't like that. So I quite like this. I like the arcade mode there. Changing the way quick play works, where they're going with quick play is going to be like a tournament practice, so you can only have one character in quick play. An arcade mode is going to be your everyday chill out mode, but it's got some really cool looking features. Mystery duels, so 1v1 dueling, and I believe how the mystery duel works is it gives you a random character, and each time, which is cool. The 3v3 elimination. So, from my understanding, the elimination is when two teams or three fight in a best of 5 round contest. The catch is once a player chooses their team composition, they're locked into that choice until the next round. That's quite cool as well. I'm quite happy with that.
Wait, hold on. Can you explain that again?
Yeah, so elimination is a 3v3 mode in which two teams fight in a best of 5 round contest. The catch is that once players choose their team composition, they are locked into that choice until the next round.
So when you say team composition, do you mean that
It'll be your
character
characters.
or that style of character?
I think it's going to be the way that I haven't actually done the 3v3 yet, but I believe the way I'm looking at it is once you choose your characters, that's it. You're locked into that character.
Okay, so one of the big things about Overwatch is that you're allowed to switch your characters like every time, anytime you want. Well, as long as you're either dead or in the spawn area. So that changes it a lot, and I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, that for me, I think is a great way of really mixing. Because let's be honest, right? I love Overwatch as much as probably most of the chat does as well. We know a lot of the people who listen and watch the show play Overwatch. Obviously, I say me, you're included in that. Eskimo Princess, I know she does, and a few others in chat. They also play it. But I think Overwatch needs the arcade mode for a lot more modes. It gives a shooter a lot more modes. When you take away the fabric of what Overwatch is, which is a team-based shooter, and go with just shooter, and then compare it with other shooters out there, the mode-wise, it's kind of a little bit lacking. But now with arcade mode, you've got many more modes to really keep that kind of, to try and stop the burnout of Overwatch. I stop burnout. I don't play it like all the time. I just backwards and forwards when I can. The other modes in arcades are all brawls, which I believe they brought back the most popular of the brawls. And I believe they're removing brawl mode.
Oh, so you go into arcade and you're like, I want to do a brawl. So they're just moving
exactly.
They're moving it out of there.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to be bringing any more new brawls in.
Now, when you say all the brawls, the last time that it wasn't quote unquote a brawl, but they had the PvE event with Junkenstein's Revenge. Is that moved in with the brawls?
No, I was going to talk about the PvE stuff in a sec.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
In a Q&A. You have Mystery Heroes, where it's a 6v6, and again, it just randomly picks a hero for you. And 6v6 No Limits is where you can basically have a team of 6 Reinhardts. if that's what you want to do. So the Overwatch stuff was really cool. I think this was probably the second biggest announcement, and they had a Q&A, and I need to find the video. I should link it in the show notes of the Q&A, and the Q&A was really interesting about Overwatch. There is no PvE currently, but they have mentioned that they are going to look at it. Junkenstein's Revenge was a test to see how the community, felt about PvE mode, and they got and I did, and I think the PvE mode that they brought in, the waves upon waves upon waves of enemies, doesn't take a lot of work. A lot of the assets already in the game, and they can tell a story through that as well, like they did with Junkenstein's Revenge, and it was really, really well put together. So I think I don't think we'll see it this year, obviously, but I reckon in a year's time there will be a PvE mode inside Overwatch, because their story, their actual lore of Overwatch is really deep and really interesting. But at this point in time, there's not really any way to tell them a story except from the mini stories they put out before the game launched, and like as they're doing, they're slowly bringing new ones out with Sombra and stuff like that.
Yeah, my wife and I sat down to watch she doesn't play Overwatch, so she doesn't know anything about it other than the little short videos that I've shown her. And so I showed her the Sombra video, and she was like, "Oh man, that's really cool. Is that what it's like when you're playing the game?" And I'm like, "Nope, that has nothing to do with the game that you actually get to play. It's just fluff. It's awesome fluff, and I love watching them. But my God, Blizzard, just go to Netflix and make a Netflix show so that I can watch Overwatch over and over." I didn't mean to do that as a pun.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think we all know Blizzard know how to make not only a good game, but they know how to put a story together. You know, and they've got World of Warcraft to be their backbone. You know, and they do say a lot of the WoW team. There's some of the WoW team in Overwatch, so PvP is very much at their heart. But that's not that was never their original intention for Overwatch. Overwatch was always going to be a team-based shooter that they were going to push into the esports scene, which is fair enough. That's esports now are very big. Overwatch is perfect to watch. It's very exciting, but at the same time, I think that for people who don't really enjoy that PvP kind of game mode, give them a PvE mode. Come on, Blizzard, you know you're good at it. You know you can do it. So that kind of covers a lot of the Overwatch stuff. And if I've missed anything, then chat will have to say. Stuff all that excite you? Run Jump Overwatch?
Yeah, I thought that stuff was great. They also had the Overwatch League, which is their esports kind of thing, and basically they've got they said that they're going to be hiring gamers to be Overwatch players, basically, which is really cool. And if you want to know more about that, you can check out OverwatchLeague.com. Honestly, for me, I watched the Overwatch World Cup. I think that's what it was, right? Was it World Cup?
Yep.
Yeah. Not the whole thing, but just a few of the ranked D teams. And it was fun to watch. Which surprised me. I thought that watching first-person shooter, because I've tried watching Counter-Strike and stuff before, and I never really liked it very much. But Overwatch is a different animal completely, and I think that they've done a really good job with making it fun to watch.
I think as well, because you've enjoyed the fluff behind Overwatch,
yeah,
you kind of feel a bit more invested in the game. You know, you understand a little bit. Like Reaper's a bad guy, Tracer is annoying as hell, but you kind of get invested in these characters, and you're playing it yourself, and you really do feel like it's a great way of, and I think it's a great way of getting involved in kind of these esports things. Is having a game that you're actually invested in, you know the story or part of the story, and what Overwatch is about. I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
So, my biggest announcement from BlizzCon, and this has put me right back into the game, was the Necromancer announcement for Diablo 3. Hello, Diablo, you've come back to my heart. I forgot how good this game is. I haven't really haven't played a lot over this year, and I've missed the whole season stuff. And I ain't even got a character to max level, but I love it. I think it's a great game. And the Necromancer looks awesome. Everyone thought it was going to be Diablo 4, which I was like, it's not going to be that. And for me, this proves that they're still going to develop for Diablo. I think they confirmed this, that Diablo, there is a lot to love about Diablo 3. When it launched, it sucked. When it launched, it was a pretty poor launch for the game. Again, we're a few years down the line, and they're getting it right.
I have to disagree with you there. I think that when Diablo 3 first came out, I thought it was great. Every change that they have made has improved it, but when Diablo 3 first came out, I had an absolute blast playing that game. I do know that when it first came out, they had the cash auction house. So
yeah.
And a lot of people were very angry about that. I just didn't use it myself. Then again, I'm also not the player that has to be number one on the on the ranks or whatever. So I didn't have to be the best. I only played when I had time to play, and it had a very good loop where I'm playing through. I got a new piece of gear, I put it on, I play, I get a new piece of gear, and so I constantly wanted to go back and play. In fact, when it first came out, I was playing it like all the time, and the only reason that I stopped playing it was because I went for a run with my daughter. This is the same thing that happened, because at the same time I was playing Skyward Sword on the Wii. Those were the two games that I was playing at the time. I went for a run with my daughter, I tripped, and I broke my left elbow. And so I couldn't play those games anymore for like 6 months. It was before I could play a video game again. So in that 6 months, I stopped playing Diablo 3. And then I didn't play it again until Reaper of Souls came out. When Reaper of Souls came out, they got rid of the cash shop. They really focused on the loot system and making it so that you got that stuff. And they've improved it, but I still think it was really good when it first came out.
I think for me, I'm heavily against cash shop kind of stuff. That's just a personal thing. I understand what you're saying about that you never touched it, and I never touched it either. But I knew it was there, so people would always have a temptation. And I'm glad they removed it. I'm glad they listened to the player feedback and no one liked it.
Yeah, a lot of companies would not listen. Would have said, well, this is how we're going to monetize our game.
Yeah,
exactly. You're
exactly.
just going to have to deal with it. But Blizzard turned around and said, you know what, you're right. We dropped the ball on this one. Let's fix it. And they fixed it.
The other thing, apart from the Necromancer, which looks cool. So if you haven't looked at the video, go to YouTube and find the video. It's well worth a watch. He looks awesome. It's the fact that they're bringing back Diablo 1 or a dungeon from Diablo. I never played Diablo 1. But they're remodeling or redoing Diablo 1 inside the Diablo 3 engine. That's going to be cool. Come on. And you get to fight the bosses from Diablo 1. Come on, that's awesome. Where it all started out for them, you know, and whether people like it or not, Diablo is one of the best ARPGs out there. You know, people will argue with me that Path of Exile is better. I strongly stand by that Diablo 3 is one of the best action role-playing games on the market today. The content is rich, the content is deep, and you know, I've made my first ever hardcore season character this time around. Man, that's great fun, and the risk of knowing that if my character dies, I'm going to lose everything. I will lose everything.
That's a scary thing. Like, I've made a couple of hardcore characters, and then none of them have died, by the way. I've made hardcore characters, and then I get to a point and I'm like, you know what? If this character died, I'd be mad. So I just stopped playing them. It happens to me over and over. I think now that I stream, I would be more likely to stick with a hardcore character.
Yeah.
I think that makes it a lot more, that would be more fun that way. But anyway, if you have not tried out Diablo 3, definitely check it out. It's a lot of fun, and because I didn't get to watch any BlizzCon stuff, so I only knew what I had seen on Twitter, and I hadn't looked anything up. So I knew that there was a Necromancer, but just while you were talking about it, I was playing the video for chat, and just watching them show the Necromancer, I was like, oh man, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that they were bringing back Diablo 1 stuff, because for me, when Diablo 1 came out, I bought that game and I dumped many hours into Diablo 1. I had a blast with it. Then they said Diablo 2's coming, and I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited for so long that finally I said, I don't even care anymore. And so Diablo 2 finally came out, and I never played Diablo 2. And then when Diablo 3 got announced, I was like, all right. So what I did is, on my stupid bike that I hate to ride, I just sat there riding my stupid bike in place. And for those of you that don't know, I ride a stupid exercise bike all the time. And I watch stuff on my iPad. And I watched all of the cutscenes from Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 so I would be ready to play Diablo 3. And Diablo 3 just totally sucked me in, and I'm excited to play it again. When does the Necromancer come out? Have they said?
Right, so, no, I will... this is the next bit. The Necromancer hasn't been announced as in the release date, and it's going to be a DLC expansion pack. So will we have to be paid for content? The Diablo 1 stuff is, I believe, don't quote me on this, but that's a free update. that's coming in January.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and I believe that's how they're going to do that one. Which then I don't mind. I don't mind paying for the Necromancer if I'm getting a little bit of, I'm getting a little cherry on top. I'm getting this Diablo 1 dungeon. Yeah,
And
okay, I'm happy with that.
Not only that, but Diablo 3's been out for how many years now?
I think five
I think
years,
it would
like
be a
that.
little ridiculous for us to expect that they're going to put out content for a 5-year-old game for free, even though they do. I mean, they don't really change much of the game, but Diablo 3 has been getting updates, and we haven't given them any more money since that first expansion came out. So I think it's perfectly acceptable for them to charge for the Necromancer.
Oh yeah, too right. I think, I think Diablo's a big enough game to warrant, this kind of, but that's the thing. Reapers of Souls expansion was huge. It brought so much to the game. On top of that, Necromancer will come with 2 extra character slots, which is always nice, and some other bits and pieces. So that's looking good. And in space points for everyone who's across the pond, currently on the store, the Battle Chest edition of Diablo 3 and the Reapers of Souls is $24.99.
Oh my god, that's a ridiculous deal.
That's £25, about $30 probably for you guys over there. That is so cheap. If you already have Diablo 3, Reapers of Souls is 15 quid, $20. That is so cheap, and for the amount of content and the amount of hours you get out of that, that's worth every single penny. Blizzard have got some great games on their launcher. It's one of my favourite places to be, and I'm so glad. The last thing, I'm now going to have to try to hype the last thing from BlizzCon that I was going to talk about, and it's a new Hearthstone expansion. Yes!
I like the name of it. The Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. No, what's it called?
The Mean Streets of Gadgetzan.
Yeah, the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. I played an Alliance character when World of Warcraft first came out. The first dungeon that I remember going to was Gadgetzan, because I ended up skipping over the one that was in Westfall. And Gadgetzan, basically the lore of this place is that the gnomes have done... They busted into this area. Gadgetzan was the original gnome city, and it had been taken over by leper gnomes, which are basically like evil gnomes who are diseased. And so you have to fight your way through this huge clockworky-looking city to get to the bottom and fight Mechatork, whatever guy. I can't remember his name. But it was a blast, and I really love the style of that. So the idea that they're bringing Gadgetzan's style to Hearthstone cards sounds great. Yeah,
they're also changing a few things up, and the thing with Hearthstone is it's the only free-to-play game that I seem to have dumped. Make sure my wife is not around. A ridiculous amount of money into it. Like, it's the only free-to-play game that's ever drawn me in. And I pre-purchase the expansions every time. I'm such a sucker for it. I'll pre-purchase the 50 cards. It's like 40 quid. I will do that. Seriously, I won't hesitate. I'll buy it. I'll get those because it's a game that I love. I love Hearthstone. I can have Hearthstone on my phone, on my tablet. I can play Hearthstone wherever I like, and that's what I really enjoy about it. It's accessible to everyone. Now they're bringing out something new, which is factions. So there are certain cards in this new set that will only work in certain decks, certain class decks, and they will give you access to like the other 2 classes in that faction, some of their cards. So, for example, Grimy Goons are faction locked to Hunter, Paladin, and Warrior. And the cards that they'll have is, they've gone a bit mad with Discover mechanic. And if you don't play Hearthstone, Discover is when you play the cards, what happens is it discovers another card in your deck, or another 2 cards, or 3 cards, or whatever it is. But it gives you the opportunity to discover another card. And what they're doing with this one is they're basically allowing you to play a card which will allow you to discover another card from a different class. Now, we've seen this a little bit in Hearthstone recently, recently with Burgle and things like that, but that's RNG based. I know this is RNG based, but it's more acute to like 2 different classes, which is cool. So the Cabals are all with the Mage, Priest, and Warlock. The Jade Lotus are Druid, Rogue, and Shaman, and the Grimy Goons are with the Hunter, Paladin, and Warrior. And I like this idea. A lot of people thought Demon Hunter was going to be coming to Hearthstone as a class, but I don't think they're going to add a new class to Hearthstone any time soon.
Yeah, right now they already have enough work to try and balance it around the classes that they have. Adding another class, it would be a lot more, and they already don't have the Death Knight class in the game. So the idea of them adding a Demon Hunter before Death Knight, that's just asking for a bunch of angry nerds to be angry.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of rounds up BlizzCon. Everything I needed to say, Diablo 3, Hearthstone, and Overwatch.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about Heroes of the Storm.
Yes, there was something from Heroes of the Storm, but I missed it. So yeah, go.
All right, so we've got Heroes of the Storm. They're adding 2 new heroes. It's King Varian Wrynn, who is awesome. He's the King of the Alliance in World of Warcraft, and really cool. And he is the first dual class hero. So he will be a warrior or a DPS, and you don't decide that until after you choose your first talents. So you can be out in the in the game and having not picked it yet, and your enemy will not know if you are the warrior version or the DPS. What do they call them in Heroes of the Storm? I forget. Assassins. They won't know if you're an assassin or a warrior until after you pick that first talent, which is really interesting. The other hero that they showed is Ragnaros, which, if you are a World of Warcraft fan, Ragnaros was the main boss of Vanilla WoW. The first raid, which was in Molten Core, was in Ragnaros' lair, and he was this giant whirlwind of fire with a huge, massive hammer that was orange and really cool looking. It was a fantastic fight as you ran around in circles around Ragnaros. But Ragnaros is coming back, and he's going to be a playable character, and he's the second boss type that they're adding to the game. Now, I don't really know how he plays as a boss type, but the other boss type that they have is Cho'Gall. Cho'Gall is a character where you have to have 2 players to play Cho'Gall. One of them moves the character around, and the other one does the main attacks, which is really weird. Ragnaros is not going to play like that. I think it's a single player thing, but what he can do is he can possess like a tower in the game. So you can go up to a tower, possess that tower, and then start doing extra damage to the enemies, but you're locked in place. I think it's really cool that they're bringing these 2 heroes. Heroes of the Storm is a game where they have continually added new content to that game, and if you want to play that game for free and never spend a dime, you really can. You'll be a little bit limited as to what you can play, but every week the free characters that they have changes, so you can continue to play that and without spending any money. I'm not saying that I haven't spent money on it, because like Hearthstone for you, Heroes of the Storm is the only free-to-play game that I've really dumped a bunch of money into, and I've had a blast with it, and I don't regret it either. Plus, you don't have to spend real money in order to unlock heroes, because you can use gold, which is actually not too difficult to earn in the game. No. You said you also asked what about the WoW stuff? Really, there's not much.
StarCraft.
StarCraft I don't know anything about. I didn't play StarCraft 1. I didn't play StarCraft 2. Those types of games are not for me. World of Warcraft I play. Basically, it's just there's a whole bunch of new stuff coming to WoW, which is what people were worried about. People were worried that we wouldn't get new content once Legion came out. They showed a lot of content coming to Legion. If you're interested in that stuff, just check the show notes for a link to all of the BlizzCon stuff, and you can check that stuff out on your own. But we have been talking about BlizzCon for quite a long time, so let's move on to the next story, which I saw this and I immediately I was at work and I was browsing stuff on my phone.
Naughty.
I know, between classes, and I saw this and I immediately had to post this to the Discord so that you could see it. The PS4 is getting an Elite controller this week, and I saw it and I was like, oh man, this is Zap's favorite controller. The Elite version is going to be even better for him. So basically this thing looks like a combination of the Xbox One Elite controller with its removable parts, so you can snap some certain parts out and get other parts. And it's so similar, in fact, that it is compatible with the Xbox Elite controller. You can get parts for that and slap that in to this controller as well. So I'm just curious, is this something that Zap is interested in or not?
Yes.
Well,
so much so that I might be buying one.
Yeah?
Yeah, seriously, I love it. I as people know that I'm a massive fan of this controller, this PS4 controller. People who are listening don't know I'm holding up my PlayStation controller, and it is like my favorite controller of all time to use. It's so comfortable because I'm a Sony man. It's comfortable. I know how to use it. You know, no, I'm not going to throw the Elite controller around. God, it's like I've got a name for myself. So I think it's a really good thing. And now that Steam obviously has the whole PS4, the DualShock 4 controller compatibility, all that sort of stuff, this is perfect. That Elite controller, I want some of. I don't use a controller very often these days, but at the same time, yeah, no, that's cool. I really like it.
Have you used the D-pad that's like one of the ones that's on this?
I haven't. No, that's the only thing.
I haven't either. I think it looks like it would be awesome, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the D-pad on obviously the PlayStation controller is a bit like this. This has been like this. This D-pad hasn't changed in about 20 odd years. That's the same D-pad style, 4 buttons, and you've got none of this in. There goes Perry. You've got none of this in the corners, which is ridiculous these days. When you with a games allow you to move in all directions. I know you've got this bit here, but the D-pad hasn't changed in years. They really should update that. Well, that's really cool.
Do you know the reason that the D-pad on the Sony controller is the way that it is?
I actually don't.
Okay, so Nintendo owned the trademark on the fully crossed D-pad, where it was actually all one piece. Nintendo owned the trademark on that, and that trademark did not expire until like 2 years ago. So up until then, nobody was allowed to make here. Let me hold up a Wii controller. A cross D-pad like this. Nobody was allowed to make that except for Nintendo until recently. And so when Sony came out with theirs, they said, well, we'll do a split one where it's 4 buttons. I always hated the 4 buttons. And now Microsoft came out with their really this really weird silver one, and if you're watching the show, you can see it. This weird silvery looking one. It looks like it's concave, and it's raised on the outsides, which is completely different than anything else out there. And it looks like the Elite controller design is for Sony is using that same thing on the PS4 controller. Now this comes out today.
It does indeed. I've got to find out how much it is in the UK. So
it's $80. So convert that over to Space Bucks, and you'll find out. Yeah, I know it's expensive.
It is. It's probably going to be about 60 quid. And to be fair, PlayStation controllers in the UK are damn expensive. Sony's excuse, and this excuse winds me up more than anything, is I can't understand why I'm a Sony fan, because everything you do just winds me up. Makes me want to throw their controller across the room. It's this thing here, a touchpad. They reckon this costs the most to develop and install the controller.
And it's
that's
hardly
why
ever
they're so
used.
expensive. And it's hardly ever used. And it's like, well, that's pointless. Sony, bro. It's like, seriously. But that's really cool. Excuse me. I like the Elite. I like the look of it. I think it's a really cool looking controller. Very sort of space style. Yeah, no, I would be tempted to get one. If not, I mean, I'll have a look in my local game shop over the weekend. 64 quid apparently. So I said this just converted in chat for £64. Wow. That still hasn't put me off.
He'll get it eventually. You know he can't resist.
No.
Let's move on to your next
Go.
story. What's
right.
this one?
This one's about Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I've got a new game to bash on, guys. I've got a new game to bash on. No Man's Sky can be put to rest. This is about Infinite Warfare and those guys over at Activision. I want to know what part of the board meeting decided to split a PC player base.
Wait, say that again, because you broke up.
Sorry, I want to know which part of the board meeting decided to split the PC player base.
Split the PC player base. Okay, so how are they doing that?
So you can buy Infinite Warfare in two places on the PC. That's the Microsoft Store and the Steam Store. And the majority of people will go out and buy it on Steam. That's pretty much where you buy most of your games for the PC. But you could also buy it on the Windows Store. Now, Infinite Warfare is not an Xbox only, anywhere game, so it's not like you can download it, buy it on the Microsoft Store, and then have it on your Xbox. No, you need still an Xbox One version or whatever. So at this point in time, I can't see a reason. So what they've gone and done is, if you buy it, for instance, you buy a copy of Infinite Warfare on the Windows Store, and I buy it on Steam, we can't play together. We can't actually play Infinite Warfare
dumb.
Because of, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you turn around and split a player base? So basically, what they're all saying is Infinite Warfare is not selling well or doing well on Steam. Well, of course not, because you've split the damn player base.
Right, it's just going to make it harder for people to get a game.
Yeah, so I also decided to do a little bit of research into this, and in the show notes, I put the Steam charts. The Steam charts for games. Now, there is a way of tracking how well a game is doing. So you can see exactly. And the all-time peak for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. So this is probably, this number will never go up. This is probably at its point, right? It's 15,000 players. And I think that was on launch day. 15,000 players. An hour ago was just over 8,000 players. In retrospect, Black Ops 3 launched on peak an all-time peak of 65,000 players. I want to know who decided where and how to split a player base on PC.
All right, I do have a question for you. When you buy it from the Windows Store, can you play it with people on Xbox?
No.
Okay. So, all right, yeah, I can't think of a single reason why anybody would do this. This looks like an absolute horrible decision on their part. It's just that this is a huge mistake.
Yeah, because I say if it was an Xbox Anywhere game, you'd be able to play it on the Xbox and the Windows Store, and you'd be able to link it up, and you'd be able to play along with each other, and blah 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 blah. But you can't. It's literally just on Microsoft's and the Steam Store, and they just split it down the middle. On top of that, they're still using peer-to-peer multiplayer, which means you'll connect to one person.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
No. Call of Duty are the leaders in peer-to-peer multiplayer multiplayer online. That's how they do their online system.
Wow,
it's peer-to-peer, which means you've got more chance of people hacking the games. You've got more chance of cheats. The person who has the connection, if you like, that everyone's connected to, has a slight advantage because he'll have the faster internet connection.
Yeah, they're going to have a zero ping, basically.
Yeah. On top of that, they're using NAT types, which is just and every time I played Call of Duty, my NAT type was always moderate to whatever it was, high. Or
I don't know what that means. What's map types?
It's NAT type, so it's basically something to do with your internet, your router and stuff, and
Oh,
the
Nat
best was
traversal.
always
Okay.
yeah. So and you always wanted a NAT type open, which was best for Call of Duty because you got the best connection to the peer-to-peer.
Right.
But there was
So just let me explain.
Yeah, go
Network NAT is network address translation, and basically it's like when somebody tries to hit my router can say, "Hey, screw you, get out of here," or it can say, "Well, this is how you can get through to the game," or you can set your router to just say everybody can come in and hang out, and that's why so you would get the best results if you had an open router, which is NAT open. All right.
Yeah.
So that's why you get the best results, is because the router is letting everything through. So what somebody who's a sleazeball would probably try to do is they would look for a map or a server that has NAT type open, and then they can send a DDoS attack to that particular player and basically ruin their fun time, and then they're sitting there twisting their mustache laughing because they're ruining somebody's fun time. This is absolutely ridiculous that Call of Duty is having. These guys can afford their own friggin' servers, for crying out loud. This is ridiculous. Oh my god.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't like to compare games because every game has a chance on their own right, and that's one of the reasons why I always stuck with Battlefield. It wasn't because the multiplayer was generally, I felt, better, but because you had better multiplayer system. You had a server to play on. You were on a server. Yeah, okay, it was EA that generally owned the servers, which meant a turtle was faster than the server, but you were still on a server. You were still actually playing on a server with 64 other players.
And you were protected.
And yeah, you were protected. Peer-to-peer multiplayer. Come on, what is this, 1990? Activision, get it sorted. There's no need for that.
Yeah,
Infinite Warfare itself has flopped. It's not a great game. The whole thing with the Call of Duty Remastered as well, where they said you now need the disc of Infinite Warfare to play Call of Duty Remastered, it's complete and utter mess. And I really think that I said a few podcasts ago that I wasn't happy that Call of Duty franchise was going to keep going. And this is why, because I know the infrastructure of their multiplayer. Their multiplayer is huge. It's why you play Call of Duty. It's why you buy Call of Duty. Ask any Call of Duty player, they buy it for the multiplayer. The multiplayer is the worst in the world.
Well, I gotta say that Activision, you're gonna get the sound effect this week. The sound effect is this one right here.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Good day, sir. My God, what a bunch of jerks. Zap, let's move on past the scary sadness into the brightly colored world that is Pokemon. The next story is that apparently, and thank you to, gosh, I can't remember who linked it to me in chat earlier when I was streaming, but I know that you are a Pokemon Go player, at least you were. I also played a bunch of Pokemon Go. I still play it with my son. And my wife will go for walks and play Pokemon Go. Probably won't be doing that too much this winter because it's going to be way too cold. But Pokemon Go rumored to have Gen 2 Pokemon coming to it very soon. They haven't said when, except that is going to really diversify the number of Pokemon that you're going to find. They've already reduced the number of Pidgeys in the world because, my God, everywhere that you went, you were just stepping on birds. There were birds everywhere. You couldn't take 5 steps without seeing a flippin' Pidgey, and nobody wanted one. So
nope.
There were lots and lots of those. Adding more Pokemon to the list should have been something that they should do sooner. It's not like they have to go out and make the 3D models for this. They have these models in their in their Pokemon games already. All they had to do is say, all right, let's import these, put them out there. And I'm not a programmer, so I don't know. Maybe it's way harder than that, but my goodness. But the idea that they're bringing in more Pokemon to more diversify what you can find out there is awesome, and I'm excited about it. Is this going to bring you back to Pokemon Go, or are you completely done with that game?
Yeah, and no. They've got to redo the battle system. For me, I don't care how many Pokemon. They can put 1,000 new Pokemon in. I want a new battle system. Simple as that. I want to stop bashing my hand or my finger against a phone screen. If anybody who's watching hasn't played Pokemon Go, I'll never demonstrate the battle system on my phone. Ready, and go.
Not that finger, not that finger. Oh my god.
Oh, sorry.
I was just kidding. It's not a big deal. Oh, that's hilarious. So while he's getting himself together, the battle system basically is a bunch of taps, and every once in a while you hold your finger down. And it's terrible, and that's why I never do the battle system.
So for me, if they actually bring in the battle system from the actual games that we know and love, then please, because obviously the Pokemon Go company, which obviously are working with Niantic to get this game going, know exactly how to make the battle system. Just put the damn battle system in the games.
Yeah.
Come on. I don't know why my voice went up an octave, but seriously, I mean, I'm happy that they're still improving Pokemon Go, but they need to redo that battle system. They have said that they are looking at the battle system, so I'm hoping that we can actually now see a battle system that's worth playing, because I think, and also random battles. Give me there must be a way for their servers to tell who's playing Pokemon Go, left, right, and center, in the world. Because at the end of the day, it's a game that uses Google Maps.
Yeah.
So let me put a red dot on my Google Map of a random player who's playing Pokemon Go. Let me walk up to him and then request a battle. Let me do that exactly like you would in a Pokemon game. You walk past someone, and all of a sudden that person about 6 squares away from you can see you, and you weren't even looking at them, and they'd come up to you and you'd be like, "Hi, this is really weird." But what about? And that was. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's not how it works, man. You know that if you lock eyes with another trainer, you must battle. So
yeah, but normally I'm looking this way, and it's like. But anyway, it doesn't. For me, I want to see that go into the game, and I don't understand why they didn't do it. Because Jesus, come on, if you have solid base games,
it would be a lot of fun. And,
exactly.
and they don't depend on gyms so much. Have a random. It doesn't even have to be a real player. Have a random schmo, Jimmy the Sailor or whatever, because they always have these ridiculous names. Sorry. Just standing there on the corner as you're walking around catching Pokemon, you can walk up and to it, and like a little splash screen comes up, and it's like, hey, let's oh no, we saw each other. That means we have to battle. So then you do your battle, and you either lose some Poke coins, or you gain some Poke coins, or you get their Pokemon or something. It would just be cool.
Yeah, that would be. I think there's so much more. I think they've missed a trick. I really do, and I think Niantic just, I really think they need to improve it so much. And I agree with Jebro Unity. Yeah, Jimmy the Sailor is an amazing trainer, not trailer. I don't know what the trailer was, but trailer is really that.
That's right. All right, Pokemon, get your stuff together. Zap, why don't you tell us about our next story?
Okay, so earlier in the podcast, I talked about Vivendi, and a little blurb on who Vivendi are. They, at the time, weren't my favourite people, and again, they are not my favourite people. They're a massive corporation that own a lot of studios, and I believe they own Activision as well. Or they have some part of Activision in there. So anyway, so Vivendi are a French multinational mass media. I can't even say the next word. And their headquarters is in Paris. Now, we talked about Ubisoft with the Hostile Takeover earlier.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like, gosh, I don't know, it was like a month ago or something.
A couple of months ago. And Ubisoft, luckily, Vivendi, I said, luckily they held off Vivendi for now. It is for now, but rumor has it, and this is only a rumor, CD Projekt Red, who make the beloved Witcher series and are working on the new game Cyberpunk, whatever it is, in the mix of a hostile takeover, and rumor has it it's Vivendi. So all of a sudden you have one of the, and I stand by what I'm about to say about CD Projekt Red. They are an amazing development company. Witcher 3, which I bought on Steam, came with so much free DLC, plus the 2 massive expansion packs. It's an amazing game. The Witcher 2 was absolutely fantastic. The Witcher 1, I only played a little bit, but again, it was a brilliant game. The books behind the Witcher series, again, very good read. CD Projekt Red is probably one of my favourite developers that have this kind of, how do you put it? I think they're still like an independent company. They're still very, they're very small in comparison to like EA and things like that. Is my microphone just to change that? Is it that bad?
It's back and forth, but we can hear you, so go ahead and keep going. Okay. We can troubleshoot it afterwards.
All right, okay. So now The Witcher 3 itself sold in millions. So at the end of the day, you're gonna turn some heads in the gaming world. So I really hope that this is just a rumor and they're not. But the post itself, they called a meeting at the end of this month. This CD Projekt Red. There's a vote on whether the company to buy. Sorry, let me start again. And I'm gonna basically quote exactly what the Reddit user translated from the agenda of this meeting. Voted on whether to or not to allow the company to buy back part of its own shares for $250 million or $64 million. Vote on whether to merge CD Projekt Brand's fully owned subsidiaries that holds the trademarks of The Witcher and Cyberpunk games into a holding company, and vote on the change of the company's stature. So it's quite a big. It's quite a big meeting coming up, and I'm going to keep a real close eye on this because I don't want to see a company like Vivendi take CD Projekt at all, because CD Projekt I think are one of the last standing good guys, and I think it'll be bad for the gaming industry personally.
So when I look at this, to me it looks like what they're saying is that the meeting is so that they could put things into place to stop a hostile company from coming in and making them do what they don't want to do. So basically, it said the first thing it said the vote on whether or not to allow a company to buy back part of its own. Oh no, that's not it. Vote on the change to the company statute. The statute that they're talking about is to make it so that, let's say a shareholder owns more than 20% of the company. They're going to put restrictions on what that, on the voting ability of somebody who owns more than 20% of the company, which is usually not something that happens. Usually, what happens is somebody owns 20%, they get a bigger vote than other people. So this looks like it's directly to stop somebody from coming in, buying more than 20% of the company, and then saying, "I've got a bigger vote than everybody. You're going to make Witcher 4, and it's going to be free to play with where you got to buy potions for 99 cents every 15 seconds or you die." And so that's not something that CD Projekt Red has really been doing with Witcher. They've put out a game, you buy that game, you own that game, and there's a ridiculous amount of content in it, and that's why the Witcher series is so popular. Yes, it's got a cool world, but the reason that it's so popular is because there's so much to do for your $60.
Oh yeah.
If Vivendi gets in here and says you're going to make Witcher 4 and you're going to make it microtransaction based, that is not going to be a game that people are going to want to play, I don't think.
No, you're right. I think, like I say, for me personally, it looks like they are safeguarding their company, which is a good thing. And hopefully it doesn't happen. Like I say, Vivendi managed to hold off. Ubisoft managed to hold off Vivendi earlier this year. So, and I think that they're kind of a little bit. Someone said that they're a little bit kind of like, well, we need to hit someone else. And CD Projekt Red, I think, are the next big target, just because of the company that they are.
Yeah.
And what they do for their fans. So, we'll keep a close eye on this one. This one's going to be, I think, talked about for a little while yet.
All right, let's move on to the lightning round. The lightning round is stories that we're just going to talk about real quick, and then we're going to be timed. We only get a minute to talk about whatever it is that we have to say after we finish reading the story. So the story is actually confirmation. Last week we talked a little bit about. 1 second. I know. Sorry, my son was in here. So we've got, last week we talked about how it looks like the Wii U production was coming to a close. Well, actually, it's finally been confirmed by Nintendo. They are going to stop Wii U production. It's confirmed in Japan, and right now they only have 2 versions of the console out. But they're no longer going to be in production after that, so that means it's going to be hard to get. And if you don't have one yet, and you want one, then your best bet is to try to find something Black Friday. Zap, any opinions on this?
No, I said all I had to say about it last week.
There you go.
Sad.
I don't think it's sad. They need to move on, really. But if you don't have one and you can find one, get one if you can get one cheap. Don't spend a lot of money on them, though. Because I get a feeling that they're going to repurpose a lot of those games for the Switch. All right, next one.
I got hacked. This one's for anybody who has a PSN account, alright? Here, PlayStation, I was watching, this is not to start a conversation about elections or anything like that, but I was watching the stuff that was going on this week on TV here, and then I caught a video on YouTube saying that PlayStation Network has been hacked or may have been hacked. Now, I was like, okay, I'll see what happens. Checked my PlayStation account, password been changed, everything. Checked my PayPal account, £220 later, gone. Someone had decided to buy games on my PlayStation account for 220 quid.
Yikes.
Yeah, so I finally got off the phone to PayPal yesterday. That was I found out like 2 o'clock in the morning on early hours of Wednesday morning. Got off the phone call, and the problem with PayPal is they were arguing that they were going to honour the payment, that I made those payments, blah blah blah. But I didn't. I've been hacked. I haven't got any. So an hour later, I finally got PayPal to say, right, okay, we're going to refund the money. Like, seriously, I didn't do anything. So if you have a PlayStation Network account, word of warning, this is more of a warning than anything, go and change your password and the email address connected to it now. Don't wait around, because at this point in time, PlayStation UK are reporting thousands of people are in the same boat as I am. So if you have a PlayStation Network account, go change it now.
Does PlayStation Network have 2-factor authentication at all?
No.
Okay, I was just curious.
It's one thing I use that doesn't have 2-factor authentication, and it really bugs the hell out of me.
All right, next story. You can play Overwatch for free this weekend, apparently. All right, I'm sorry. I had to talk to my son about something real quick. You can play Overwatch free weekend on PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One next week. This is going to begin on November 18th to November 21st. So we talked a lot about Overwatch at the beginning of the show. Go play it. It's fun. It starts at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's 1800 UTC, which would be GMT for you. And it ends on November 21st at 4 p.m. Pacific time. That's 2300 or 11 p.m. UTC in all gameplay regions. So definitely go check that out because the game is awesome.
The one for me is I've got another free game to play this weekend. Rainbow Six Siege. If you haven't played this game, it's incredible. It's a really good team-based shooter, and it's free on PC and PS4 for this weekend. Xbox One, you're not included this time around. And the weekend is the 11th to the 13th. And the next expansion for the game is arriving in a week. So I think they're trying to get people interested before the expansion comes out. And the full game is discounted for $25 on Steam at the current time. But if you haven't played Rainbow Six Siege, go out and give it a go. It's a great game, a real good 5-on-5 multiplayer where you've got one life and that's it.
Cool. And apparently on Black Friday, it's going to be $15 at Walmart and Target. So,
wow,
that's even better. Very cool. Did we have another? No. Okay, that's it for the lightning round. Now we have game off. This is where Zap and I pick 2 games that we think everybody should have played. Last week, I picked Alan Wake, and Zap picked GTA 3, and the results were that Alan Wake won, although it was a lot closer this time than it usually is, 56 to 44. This week, I chose a game. I hit the wrong button. That I have been playing a bunch this week, and that is Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. And you can do either that or the HD version if you've got a Wii U. Either one of those is a really great game. I've been playing it a bunch this week, and it's a blast. So if you haven't played it, basically it's like a very dark version of Zelda. It's got light and dark worlds, and you get to turn into a wolf, and there's this weird little imp that rides around on your back and tells you what to do. It's a lot of fun. So, Zap, what game did you add to... What game are we doing for you this week?
This week is one of my first ever games that I got on my PlayStation. Here we go, my Sony, bread and butter Sony comes out here. And it's one of my favourite series of all time. It is Metal Gear Solid. This game is just beautiful. It's amazing. The story is weird. It's a really, really great game. And if you haven't sat down and played Metal Gear Solid, it's out on PS3, PS4, Vita. Unfortunately, they never brought this to the PC. And I think it would be great to play this on the PC. You follow Solid Snake through his all the turmoil and stuff that he goes through, and it's really worth playing, sitting down, and it's got a really solid. Even though the story's a bit confusing in places, it's really good. And Konami, and I mentioned their name, and Kojima really drew me into this world of Solid Snake and all that kind of stuff. Amazing. Just give it a go. It's worth a go.
Yes, and I never played... I played Metal Gear Solid a little bit on the original PlayStation when it first came out, and it was a cool game, but it wasn't my game, so I couldn't play it like the full thing. I just sat down at a friend's house and played it a little bit. It was cool. So I've never really gotten into the Metal Gear games outside of the original Metal Gear games, so this is definitely something I'm interested in as well. Metal Gear Solid, I always thought it looked cool. I always have trouble going back and playing old games, though, because their graphics are really washed out, and they don't hold up unless they're very stylized. Like, I think World of Warcraft's graphics really do hold up because of the art style that they used. But games like Metal Gear, they looked great at the time, they don't hold up because they were going for a realistic look. It's the same with, like, not so much Twilight Princess, but when you look at Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, that game's graphics really hold up over a long period of time because they weren't trying to be realistic. Whereas I don't think Twilight Princess has graphics that hold up as well over time because they were trying to go for a more realistic looking game. But anyway, both of those games are awesome, and that's really cool. Why don't you tell me about your wish list while I get the straw poll set up?
All right. So for me, my wish list this week is a game that I have never actually played. As dare I say it, there being a Final Fantasy fanboy, I've never played number 9. They say it's like the last proper Final Fantasy. And I saw this on Steam, released earlier this year, and I was like, oh, hang on, that's quite a good price. 16 quid, pretty about just over $20 for yourself. And I think it's like a remake for the PC, so it's had, its graphics improved. And do you know what? It's something that I think I missed out on. The Final Fantasy IX game, where it was the last game by Square before they went to Square Enix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because 10 was under Square Enix, and 9 was under Square Soft. I believe it was.
Makes me want to check and see if I have Final Fantasy IX on my Steam list.
No.
I do.
Sure.
Yep, I have Final Fantasy IX.
There you go. So, but that's for me, is Final Fantasy IX is the game mode. I played 7, 8, 10, 50,000 times. 10-2. The ones from 10-2 or 10 upwards, but 9 is the one I missed. So that's on my wish list this week.
Yeah, and this was for the I'm curious as to how the PC port is, because the PC ports from Square Games are traditionally pretty bad. You put up with it because the games are good, but the ports are not very good. This is the first one that kind of went back to more fantasy style instead of like. Is this the one? Like, are there guns in this one?
No, I think it's pretty much, from what I know about it, this is the best way to describe the Final Fantasy series from 7 onwards. 6 was the last fantasy one before 7, obviously, and then 7 took it to a very sci-fi route with guns and all that sort of stuff. 8 had the emo kid, and then 9 took it back to its roots.
Okay. Just to be clear, didn't 6 have robots and stuff?
Yeah, but again, it wasn't as like futuristic as I think as like 7 and 8. I think they still had that kind of. I think it was more the aesthetics and the feel to it, and then 9 took it right back to its roots. So, yeah. Just a quick. Do they all asset and chatters? Do they all run after each other or separate games? They're separate games. It's just the name. There's little Easter eggs for each game in the games. So, but they never really follow. They never follow the same story. No, not even the same worlds. Final Fantasy VII, as Kodiak says, there's many spin-offs and God knows what else. It wasn't until Square Enix came in and started doing Final Fantasy X. Then they did 10-2, which was the next one on from 10, and then they did it with Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
Which is I've got that on PC, and I think that port is awesome. Or awful. I think it's a terrible port. There's so many problems with that. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the ports are really bad. That's another game. By the way, unless you have a ridiculous amount of time, stay the hell away from Final Fantasy 13, because that game has a 50-hour tutorial, and I am not exaggerating. I know that it sounds like I'm exaggerating. I'm not. You literally are walking down a hallway for 50 hours until you get to the real game. Now, once you get to the real game, it's fantastic. Final Fantasy 13 was great once you got to the real game, but slogging through that horrible linear tutorial was absolute garbage, and I hated that. The only thing that kept me going was because the guys at Penny Arcade said how great it was once you got past that. I almost wished that you could it doesn't feel it is a tutorial, but it's not sold as a tutorial, if that makes any sense. Basically, they're slowly teaching you the stuff but they're treating you like a moron, like you cannot possibly learn more than one thing in an hour. But that being said, Final Fantasy IX, I've never played it. It looks great. I've got it. I've got to play it soon. So maybe I'll play it soon on stream.
Yeah.
Maybe after I finish Twilight Princess. All right, my wish list item is the NES Classic Edition, which comes out tomorrow. I am going to be getting up and going to a store and probably standing in line to see if I can get my hands on one of these. I'm going to probably buy 2 of them, one for my brother-in-law probably, because he's going to love this thing too. We're the same age. Basically, this is a little tiny console The whole thing is about the size of an NES cartridge, and it's got 30 games on it, and it costs $60. And it's got this. The reviews so far say that it's awesome, with the only problem being that the cord on the controller for this thing is really friggin' short. It's 2.5 feet cord. Now, this is a problem if you're playing it on a TV, but I'm going to be hooking it up at my desk, at my computer, so that probably is not going to be an issue for me. If it is, you can get cord extensions, which is fine. It doesn't... Nintendo is dumb for not putting a longer cord on this thing, or for crying out loud, making it not making it a wireless controller, for crying out loud. The idea that I have to deal with a cord is just dumb. But this thing is adorable and awesome, and I'm hoping that I can get my hands on one tomorrow. The emulation, it's not, well, I mean, it's official Nintendo stuff, so, you know, I mean, you guys know me. I'm a nut for that stuff. If you're interested in hearing my thoughts on it, I probably won't talk about it on this show, but I will definitely be if I get my hands on one, I'll definitely be talking about it on Switchcraft, which is my Nintendo-themed podcast about Nintendo and Nintendo Switch. So that is my wish list for this week.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think just before you move off that one, we actually I went into my local game shop and see if they could get a hold of one. All the pre-orders are taken up in the UK.
There are no pre-orders in the US. You cannot pre-order it.
Yeah, that's what they were saying to me. And basically, what they're doing is it literally is a first come first served basis, and it's like, wow, you know, this thing is going to sell out in the UK. Like, seriously, just roll off the shelves.
It's going to fly off the shelves, and apparently, you can already find eBay listings for it for over $150. This is a $60 machine. $150 is way too much for something like this, but this is the problem with Nintendo, is they constantly don't know how to meet their they don't know how to manipulate supply and demand in order to make sure that everybody who wants to give them money can give them money. And so they get scalpers. The same thing happened with Amiibo when the Amiibo first came out. You couldn't get a Marth, who's from a Fire Emblem game. You couldn't get one to save your life. And then you would find them for $80 on eBay, because people would go in, they'd see Marth, which they knew was hard to find, and they'd buy every single Marth in the store and then turn around and sell it on eBay. It's just ridiculous. And the whole culture, I don't want to say culture, the whole process of nerds scalping stuff to other nerds needs to stop. And one thing that I really like Apple, if I want to buy their phone and they don't have enough phones, I give them my money, and then as soon as they have a phone for me, they send it to me. Whereas if I want to do that for Nintendo, maybe I want to buy this object, or maybe I want to buy like a Bowser amiibo or something. I can't give Nintendo money and have them ship me one. It's just stupid. But I'm not going to sit here and complain about it a bunch. If you're interested in the Mini NES, please wait until after I buy one to buy one. That's all.
So you can get your hands on. Just link the LinkedIn chat.
I know, and now I won't be able to buy it. Moonwolf is going to get the last one.
100 what for £122?
Oh my
go
God.
ahead with that one.
No, thank you. I'm not spending that much. All right, so that's it for the show this week. Did you have anything else?
No, I think that was it. I think I'm done.
Awesome. All right, so that's it for the show this week. If you want to support the show, one of the ways that you can do that is with a review on iTunes. So go to iTunes, give us a review. Doesn't have to be 5 stars. Just tell us what you think of the show. It helps us gain visibility and maybe would push us into the new and noteworthy section. That would be awesome. If you want to be part of the show, though, one way that you can do that is by sending us an email. That is runjumpstomp@gmail.com. We'll read that on the show. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you want us to talk about. That's something else you can do. You can just let us know, hey guys, why don't you talk about this week? And it'll give us some extra stuff to make sure that we talk about the stories that you guys want to talk about. I want to thank Eskimo Princess as well as Kodiak Moonwolf today for sending in stories. I was not prepared earlier, and I started streaming, and then I turned on the stream and I realized, hey, dummy, you don't have the stories in your show notes. So they sent in stories for me to add to the show notes. So thank you guys. If you want to give us a call, you can call. We have a phone number that you can call and leave us a voicemail, and that is 260-RUN-JUMP. That's 260-786-5867. You're going to be able to find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at RunJumpStomp. I also have another podcast called The Switchcraft, which is all about Nintendo, so that we don't put too much Nintendo in the regular show. And Zap, where is it that people can find you?
Twitch and Twitter is at DJ Zap, and YouTube is Django Zap. That's me.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was a good show, man.
Yeah, man. I don't know what the issue was.